Happy New Year! I know it's like, what is it, 21 days in, and I'm just now showing up wishing you a Happy New Year. So let me give you an update of what's been going on. So first of all, I'm actually been working on, so usually like before, so well, let's take a step back. Happy New Year, right? So the first thing I'm doing is I'm going across a lot of data and I'm looking at what's the trajectory of 2026 looking like, right? What should I focus on? Both at what I do during the day, my side projects, like everything that I'm doing. What should I focus on 2026, right? And I analyze, like I spend hours and hours online just really looking at like what are the trends, what are the patterns, what are people responding to, what should you focus on, right? And I think 2026 is going to be one of those interesting years, right? So the first thing is that AI is now getting to more mainstream, right? Last year, if you had started doing vibe coding, you're a little bit ahead of the curve. This year, everybody pretty much is doing vibe coding of some sort, right? And then agents, which was something like paradoxical. Like last year, everyone was like, "Hey, what are agents? What are AI agents?" This year, with Claude and Gemini and AI agents is all over the map. Like I downloaded a Claude desktop, and I started out with Claude Code, and then now there's Claude Cowork, and it's just like on a different level. Like you could literally just go in and now even with the mic access, you can just literally just have conversations with your computer, and then your computer is literally doing everything, right? It has MCPs, and this is something protocol, which actually gives it access to the internet if you've downloaded the Chrome extension, which means that now you can literally, without even touching your keyboard, you can tell it, hey, go to Indeed, like I've been doing this, go to Indeed, extract the keywords of what employers are actually looking for, so I can see where the business opportunity is and start looking at patterns, right? So that's one of the things that I'm doing, and it's really just taking a load off my shoulders. Like I could literally be like 9 leads, 9 different leads for a small amount, right? Computational power, so that's a great thing. I think the key thing to focus on, I think a lot of people are just doubling down on AI, which is great. There was a study that said last year a lot of companies actually invested a lot of money in AI, but they couldn't extract the payoff. Like they couldn't see the value. They couldn't extract the investment, right? So I think this year what's going to happen is, and I'm not the one to spread doom and gloom, but I think this year I think it's going to be accelerated where, AI in some industries is literally just going to completely obliterate some industries, and they're going to be completely worthless, right? Especially if it's an industry where there's repetition, there's no EQ, right? There's no EQ, because I think the EQ component, not to say it won't get here, I think the EQ, and what I mean by EQ is emotional intelligence, right? The EQ of a lot of the AI machines today is not 100% there, right? It's getting there, when we get to that state of artificial general intelligence, where now, it can literally even decipher emotions. But I think we're not there yet, and the reason why is because like a lot of people have access to these tools. A lot of people have these AI tools. They have Claude, they have ChatGPT, there's Gemini, there's DeepSeek. Like there's no shortage of tools. But the big challenge is a lot of people are still like, what do I do? I need to talk to someone. Right? I really need to talk to someone. The robotic feel is still there with a lot of these AI machines, and I think that's a huge opportunity, especially if like you're in non-repetitive or automated tasks, whereby you need the conversation, you need communication, clarity in your communication, you need to provide implementation. Some of those things. I think there's an opportunity for humans to shine, and I think the other thing too, like people are already tired. People are already tired of these machines. They want that human to human connection, right? All of a sudden people don't want, they don't want to. You can create bots, but people could tell, right? They could tell. Now the premium is actually on having a human to human connection, right? That's where the premium is. And I think I'm going to double down on that, right? Because as humans, we prefer to actually have it's going to be the highest level where people are actually going to pay a premium to actually talk to someone, right? And then all the lower level stuff like, how do I do this? Like you could use AI. So that's the first thing I'm definitely taking note of, right? The second thing I think that's definitely happening too is that you also have to start projecting. Like you can't really look at things for what people want today, but also you have to look at the behavior of what people are going to be doing in 2 years from now, 3 years from now. What's that terrain going to look like? How is it going to be different, right? How are people going to be interacting with everything, right? With how people's behavior going to change, right? And it's starting now already. Like people don't want to touch the keyboard for the phone. They don't want to do it. What do they want to do? They want to speak. So voice activation is going to be huge. It's probably already there, right? And a lot of infrastructure, meaning like sites and apps, don't have the voice activated component added, right? So now that's a play that you could definitely get into. If you are, it's not to say that having keywords and site engine optimization is not going to be relevant. I think it's going to be less relevant. Not to say you don't need it. It's just that it won't be the driver of traffic. There's already a lot of websites saying, hey, they lost like 50% of their traffic. I think it was Buzz. What is it called? The Buzz site. BuzzSumo, I think. BuzzSumo said they lost like a good percentage of their traffic because what happened? People stopped using search. Now, when you go to search, there's the AI component. And then what do people want? People want answers like yesterday. They don't want long stories. They don't want to read long articles. They just want a very specific answer to a very specific question. And the more targeted and specific you are, the better off you stand out, right? So these are some of the things to definitely take into consideration. What happens when economies turn, right? What is the behavior? People start becoming a little bit conservative, meaning like they're conserving all their resources. What are some of the things that are necessities over luxuries, right? I saw Louis Vuitton, it depends where you are. But I saw Louis Vuitton or Vuitton. I don't know how. Anyway, I saw Louis Vuitton is going into the alcohol business, right? They're making I think they partnered with the alcohol guy, and I saw they want to go into that sphere. And I think that the key thing is to start to be creative. It's all about your creativity, right? Marketing is huge, right? Storytelling is still going to be there. Some of those things are still going to be there. But what I'm doubling down this year on is community, doing live events. Very soon I'm going to start doing live, where every week I'm going. In fact, starting. I'll do a cold run on just setting up the pages, launchthisweekend.com. That's the site. And then I'm literally just every Saturday, I'm just going to be grinding and just talking to entrepreneurs, right? I think live events is where you get the positioning, because I think a lot of times, what's definitely going away is this whole concept of, you could just slap together an offer and a web page and then people buy. I think now it's going to be mostly based on, hey, who are you? What do you stand for? What have you done before? And what are you going to do, right? How is this going to impact? So there's all these questions, because when economies are turning and there's uncertainty, people become really picky with where their dollars go, right? So I think that's definitely something to pay attention to. So how do you position yourself? I think positioning yourself is going to be a major, major, major play, and the easiest way to position yourself is literally to provide value before you ask for payment, right? And it's not to say, and I think the biggest challenge is when people say provide value, I'm not saying go give out all your recipes, your food and everything, right? Value is definitely one of those subjective components that to each person, value means a different thing. But collectively, if we were to say what is value, what is valuable? And valuable is something that someone can consume and either have a difference in perspective, a difference in execution, a difference in thought, or a difference in identity. That is essentially what value is. It's not to say that, this person is going to automatically get an outcome, right? It's just they now can exhale and feel like this is doable, or I can do this because of the new intel. That is what value is. Unfortunately, a lot of people really look at value like, oh, this is something to actually give away and pound so that they can see that I know my stuff, right? And that doesn't work really well, right? If anything, people feel like, oh, okay, he's giving us enough, man, so we got to implement this. Oh, this is so overwhelming. I came in here to get value, right? But I left here overwhelmed, not knowing exactly where I should start, what I should focus on, and what is my next step, right? So if they can't answer those preliminary questions after your interaction, you're definitely not giving value, right? You're not giving value, right? And so the way to provide value is by the end of the interaction, they should feel like, oh, I never looked at it that way. Now I feel I can do it. I can't wait to get off this call to go and try it out. Or I can't wait to actually go and see how this works. Or now I feel that this is completely possible, right? And I think the biggest thing is that people fear if that person gets to that state, they won't be needed, right? So you're providing value so that you can be needed, right? And and that's a scarcity mindset, right? That's a scarcity mindset. If you provide value, the hope is that you don't get needed. If they don't need you anymore, then you've provided value, because there's going to be something else they'll need you for, something different, still relative. Remember, there's always different phases. Just because they understood the process doesn't mean they got the outcome. Just because they got the outcome doesn't mean they know what to do next. So there's all these opportunities that will come. But the key thing is, how do you, first of all, design what value looks like to the person? I think a lot of times we design what value looks like to us, right, rather than to the recipient. And that's why a lot of times, when people provide the value, it doesn't feel like value. It feels like information. It feels like overwhelm. It feels like, oh, this is a lot of stuff. At the moment, it feels exciting. But then once they get off, they're like, gosh, man, it's just going to collect dust. Because they're like, yeah, this was good stuff. It was good. But I have no idea how to actually start, how to implement what the next move is going to look like, right? So I think and value has always been the differentiating factor, right? And I think more than ever, especially now when the barrier is low, the barrier to entry, like there's more people who are getting into the space, there's more competition, there's AI now, this just is flooded. It's flooded. You go to YouTube, you go to Instagram, it's just flooded with AI. You start even reading all these posts and they start sounding the same, right? That doesn't look like this, it looks like this. Like it's so obvious that you could tell, oh, this was not coming from the heart. So if you start writing stuff from the heart, telling stories that people connect with and they feel and they resonate with, then I think 2026 is going to be your year, right? It's going to be your year. So glad you made it. Happy to be in to see the new year. We don't take anything for granted. But even more important is don't let the noise. I think sometimes like the noise can be crippling, right? You're reacting. There's a lot of like a lot of people who are feeling that anxiety because of lack of prediction, lack of feeling like you're not in control, right? And when you feel like you're not in control, the natural thing is to anxiety. It's just to feel anxious about, are you making the right move? You start second guessing yourself, right? And that is the fastest way to kill momentum, to kill growth, because you're not in the right mental state, right? So the first thing is like lower down the volume, right? Start going internally, inwardly, right? And it's not something that you do it once and then you forget. This is something you have to constantly do. Lower down the volume, the pressure and noise, go internally. Ask yourself like fundamental questions like, hey, what are you grateful for? Because I think gratitude is definitely, and this is not just like lip service. I definitely believe that gratitude is a way to actually open up the gates for abundance, right? If you don't have gratitude, it's going to be pretty evident how you show up, what you say. It's going to be evident, right? It's going to be evident. And there's no way you can try and show up with an abundance mindset when internally you have a scarcity system. So that's already a cognitive dissonance. There's conflict, and guess which one wins? The scarcity one, right? That's the dominant one. That's the bottleneck. That's the one that pushes everything forward. So I would say the first thing is like lower the temperature, right? You don't need to do anything. You don't need to be anywhere. You're not behind. You shouldn't feel less accomplished. I think the more you feel less accomplished, the more you feel like you're hopeless, the more you will be hopeless. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it, right? So the key thing is like curate the words you tell yourself, curate the ambience, curate the noise, the pressure. Like only allow good pressure, and good pressure is the pressure that actually forces you to grow, right? The other pressure that forces you to start having anxiety, like give it arm's length, right? You don't need it right now. You don't need it right now. And 2026 is going to be a great year. It's just January 21st. We still have a lot of time, but time is not what actually moves the needle. What moves the needle is not even focus, is state of mind. Feeling like you're in control of your own destiny, your domain. Feeling like you're not reacting, you're proactive, and you're in total control. Cheers. Take care. Bye.